Hi, welcome to Football at High Heels Presents on this lovely Monday night where it's snowing and cold. Welcome back, Matt. I feel like it's been forever and a day since we've done one of these.
Absolutely. We've taken a nice hiatus.
Yeah, that's called life getting in the way, and my boss actually expecting me to go to work.
Somebody's got to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I do want to dedicate this show to your amazing son, Landon. He's such a joy. I love that kid more than anything.
And he is your number one fan.
Oh, that means the world to me. It really does. And that's what keeps me going with doing this show.
He is looking forward to teaming up to talk about Loopsies and all over sorts of toys.
We will do that next week for just in time for Christmas. So, oh my God, football this past few weeks, it's been absolutely crazy. First of all, the Dallas Cowboys making it into the playoffs for their division. They've been kicking butt and taking names this season.
They certainly have. They have the NFC on lock right now.
That is crazy. I don't think anybody predicted that because at the beginning of the season, everybody, us included, were kind of making fun of them like, oh, the Cowboys, they're this, they're that. But they basically have the last laugh because they won all but two games. I believe they were both against the Giants this season, and that's just incredible. I don't think any other team has really pulled that off this season.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's funny. You lose your starting quarterback, your season's over in the NFL. But they've had great luck with this rookie. Good for them.
Yeah, I'm really impressed, and I'm curious to see how far they can take it. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd be really happy for them if they do make it into the Super Bowl because we all know how long that's been since they've been there.
Well, I hope that they show up there and they epically lose. That would be fine with me.
Yeah, well, it depends on who they play against. So, and at least they're not the Cleveland Browns, who have not won one game this season.
Yeah, they are a sad group. That's just a sad franchise, period.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them this season, but I know they've always kind of been but this season, not winning one game, that's just really sad. I kind of feel bad for them, though. It's just, being the only team that hasn't won anything. I kind of feel bad, but at the same time, it's like, step it up, guys.
Well, the statistics are on their side at this point, so they got a great shot of upsetting somebody at this point. I'm trying to see exactly who they have left to play, but good Lord, my app isn't even showing them this was. Okay, they're playing San Diego in Week 16. Did I miss them on Week 15? Oh, okay, they're playing Buffalo, so that'll be interesting. Rex Ryan is basically a lame duck coach, and they're playing San Diego, and then they're playing the Steelers. Okay, so the Steelers are completely, as they did my Giants last week, completely outclass the Browns. So that's pretty much a no way in hell unless everybody sits out for the last week. But San Diego always seems to flop. Great talent, and they always flop. Buffalo might be their best shot at a win, but I mean, chances are that you're not going to go with no wins. It never happens.
That's true. I think maybe one this season they'll win, but I have no idea who they could win against. But I don't know. It's a tough one to call, except because you know that the Steelers are gonna beat them, and Buffalo can go either way, and San Diego, yeah, the less said about them, the better.
Yeah, they're one of those very frustrating teams with a very prolific quarterback, and but they win nothing.
Exactly. They haven't been doing that well this season either, so I think they're going to be out. And now that the Bills are out, and what's this about Rex Ryan? It sounds like he's all but fired now. I heard last night, and I had tagged you on this in my Facebook page, saying that he could be fired as early as today. Now, I know he had a press conference, which I did miss because I was at my other job, but it sounds like he's all but gone at this point.
Yeah, it was actually kind of sad. It was a rather sad thing to watch listening to him talk at that for that interview because it really seemed like he really was being blindsided. He actually seemed like he had no idea that this rumor was even swirling, which is hard to believe. But he genuinely did seem like he was completely blindsided when people were asking if he was ready to be fired or not.
Yeah, that's not right. I mean, I know that they do have the right to fire him, and he hasn't been doing very well this season. But not don't blindside someone like that when you're and have them go to an interview and basically look like an idiot because they have no idea what's going on. At least take him aside, talk to him, and let him know that there's rumors going around that you're going to be let go, and then he could handle the press conference in that way. But it's sad all around because I did want to like him in the beginning, and I did like him in the beginning, but unfortunately he just didn't have it this season.
Well, I one thing I will say is it's just extremely hard to believe that he actually has no clue that this could possibly happen. He himself, before the season start, said that if they don't make the playoffs, he deserves to be fired. Well, they're not making the playoffs, so the writing's pretty much on the wall. That being said, I'm sure he'll bounce back. He's a boisterous guy, and desperate owners really love that for franchises that don't do well. The problem is those guys never get out of that rut of not being successful because they're always taking over franchises that are in bad shape.
Exactly. So I don't know. I think he'll bounce back, but I'm curious to see where they're going to put him at this point, or if he's just going to retire. And what do you think is going to happen to his brother? Because I know last year he had hired his brother to help out with the team. So is he going to get fired too, or it's going to be pretty awkward if his brother stays and he goes?
No, for the most part, when they clear house, they usually clear everybody out. Most of the time, the assistants are signed to the same contracts with same lengths as the head coaches. There's no way Rob would stick around after Rex got fired. Rob, his career, who knows? I mean, sometimes these guys take a couple of years off and then they bounce back into another gig. The thing is, Rob is a great defensive mind, but he's another blowhard, so a lot of people don't want to deal with him. It's why he had to go work with his brother. So
Exactly.
He could very well be done. He very well could be done. I mean, most owners wouldn't allow you to hire your brother in the first place because of the simple fact that you're not going to be in a position to fire your brother. So
Exactly.
Buffalo took a big chance with allowing that to happen, and for good reason, because they knew this was, it's either going to be a one and done or they would be successful.
Yeah, but it's sad, but I don't know what's going to happen. And all I know is I would not be surprised at all this season if Rex Ryan, after all this debacle, ends up on Dancing with the Stars or something, just to get his name still out there. That way he could, I don't know, I think he can keep his name out there and maybe another football team will pick him up. Plus, I think trying to see him dance might be the most hilarious thing ever.
I appreciate you working your Dancing with the Stars into the show once again.
I can't help it. That's like my number one franchise that I work with in both my websites. So
I would say people would tune in to see Rex Ryan fumble around that floor, without a doubt.
Hey, we watched Doug Flutie for half the season, so I can't see where it'd be any different. But except I don't think Rex has the fan base.
Yeah.
But I will say that one thing I'm curious about, what the heck is Rex going to do with that Buffalo Bills tattoo at this point? Because after he got fired from the Jets and was hired by the Bills, he got his tattoo into the Bills color. So what's he going to do now? He can only touch up a tattoo so much before it starts.
Good Lord. Stop with the tattoo stuff already. Win something first. How about that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think it's pretty awkward. And he's like, yeah, this is the tattoo from a team I got fired from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before, but there became a story with one of the Dallas fans got a tattoo on his arm about them winning the Super Bowl this year. They haven't won a playoff game in how many years? Like 16 years or something ridiculous. I can't remember the number right now, but do it first.
Exactly.
You're not brave for doing that. You're stupid for doing that.
Exactly. It's equivalent to those people that get their significant other's names tattooed to them and then they break up. It's like, yeah, what do you do now?
Right, absolutely. And honestly, it's like the Madden cover. It's just a jinx.
Exactly. And oh gosh, people, I don't even know what to say. But yeah, moving on. It seems like a lot of things. Your Giants won last night against the Cowboys. What was that like? I heard everybody and their uncle, it seemed like, on my Facebook was at the game. Were you at the game last night?
I was not. I absolutely was not. I didn't even get to watch the game.
Oh, no.
We watched Elf last night as a family. It's
Okay.
Christmas time, so we watched Elf. Um, uh, an upset for sure. Dallas is completely in charge of our division without a doubt. They're definitely in charge of the NFC as a whole. That being said, I heard this great quote: "You can't spell Dallas without two L's," and they both came from the Giants this year. So they have absolutely played more superior to the Giants for the season as a whole, but we got their number.
That's true. That's true. So I'm curious to see what happens. I'm just this whole thing with the playoffs and everything. It's been one upset after another. I'm curious to see who else is going to make it. Do you have any thoughts?
Well, the Giants are going to be in there. I'll tell you that. They're pretty much automatically in right now with that win against Dallas. They basically need to get one more win for the season, and they'll be a wild card. Dallas is going to be the number one seed, have home field, and have a bye, just like New England will. The two of them have the highest point differential, which is a big stat for seeing who's going to do well. Dallas's biggest problem is their defense is weak. They are not a Super Bowl defense. They have a great offensive line. They have a very, very skilled future superstar running back. And they have a quarterback that has played very well above his head, not making mistakes because they've simplified the offense and played to his strengths. People act like he's running a full offense. That is not true. So there are, the Steelers are always going to be dangerous there are certain teams that are just always dangerous, always. But, teams like that have, like the Steelers, for instance, great quarterback, great wide receiver, best running back in football. Hard to go and fight that. Their defense is their weakest link, which is ironic because they have a defensive coach. So, that comes to haunt you in the playoffs. But you can also see that, New England gets away with it.
That's true. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting these next couple of weeks to see what happens. And I have my teams that I'm rooting for, but I'll be happy with whoever makes it because I'm going to be watching anyway, and I'll cheer for whichever team I like better. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, well, the playoffs come along. You start strategically saying, hey, we don't want to play that guy. We don't want to face that team. But we'll see how it all lays out in the end. We still got a couple more weeks. We're in the home stretch.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe how fast the season is going. I feel like I just started watching and it's just almost over. I can't believe it.
I know it. And, some crazy things are happening. I don't know if Coach Fisher was just fired from the Rams.
I heard, yeah. What happened with that?
That's a huge event to happen with their recent move to L.A. Stories are coming out of him being in screaming matches with his own coaches on the sideline, and that there was likely a yelling match with the owner, which caused the abrupt firing. They're having their special teams assistant, I believe, is going to be the interim head coach for the rest of the year because you can't get anybody to fill in. And unless this was like a really big scuffle with he and the owner, this was completely a big fumbling by the ownership because they are playing on Thursday. So they basically have like 3 days of preparation and they fire their coach. So if you're going to just get rid of him, you have to be smart enough to go and play that game and then fire him. So that man should have been fired on Thursday night or Friday morning. Instead, he was fired. And now they're going to be shuffling, and they're going to probably get really, really, really beaten up on by Seattle on Thursday.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've never heard of that happening before. I mean, granted, I'm new to football and stuff, but still, that's just, 3 days to prepare. I don't know how they're going to pull that off and win. It's going to take a miracle from the man upstairs for that to happen.
Well, and what's crazy, too, is that they have their rookie quarterback playing. They're almost better off just pulling him because there's a good chance he's going to get beaten up. They're already a young, under-talented team, and then you're going to put your supposed franchise quarterback out there. This could be very, very ugly for their franchise. This was a move made in haste, and again, unless he got into a major yelling match with his boss or physical with his boss, which it will come out, but it hasn't yet. This was a major mistake by them.
Yeah, I've never heard of this happening before, and yeah, there has to be a really good reason as to why this happened, and I know it's going to come out, and I'm curious to hear the reason behind it.
Yeah, it's a pretty insane thing to have happen 3 days before you have a game and so late in the season. It's not unheard of for Fisher to get fired himself or for someone to get moved on from late in the season. But in the abrupt fashion that was some crazy stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Now I'm curious. I know they have their 3 days to prepare because their coach got fired. What's going to happen with the Bills if Rex Ryan does get fired? Is there going to be an interim coach, or is he just going to stick it out and be the lame duck, like you said? What do you think is going to happen?
I would be very shocked if they don't allow him to finish the season. Because again, it just doesn't do you really any good. You have to pay him anyway. Now you're trying to get somebody to go and lead the team for the last couple of games. I would be really surprised. Um, I would expect they're playing the Browns, let's see, then Miami in division. But the Browns should be a win. Okay? If they lose to the Browns, he could totally get fired, without a doubt. Because there's only 2 weeks left, and the ownership could just say, enough is enough. We just lost to a team that had no wins. Okay? That is something that gets lame duck coaches fired early. After that, they're playing Miami. They just lost their quarterback to what's probably an ACL tear. That should be an automatic win. And who are they finishing the season with? The Jets. The terrible Jets. It could go either way, but Lord knows if Rex can still be around for that game, there is nothing he will want more. Even if ownership says it doesn't matter what happens, you're losing your job. He will do everything in his power to beat the Jets. He just will. That will be his number one thing. So the major question will be, will he get the chance?
That's what I'm wondering, and I think they will just let him finish the season. But yeah, if he loses to the Browns or the Jets, especially, that's just really sad. And I hate to say it because I'll be honest, I have a soft spot for this guy. I'd be like, sorry, honey, you really don't deserve to be coaching anymore. Especially because the Jets are the team that fired him before he was on, right before he got hired on the Bills. So if you lose to the team that fired you, that's just awkward and just makes you look even worse, especially when you know you're going to get fired again.
Yeah, Rex is one of those guys that people tend to either really love or really hate because he's so boisterous. What's interesting is that you think he should be a head coach, but his experience as a head coach doesn't prove that. He's been very underwhelming as a head coach, unfortunately, because I actually would like to see him succeed. I am a boisterous person myself, so I kind of recognize his ridiculousness and embrace it. But, I mean, as the Jets coach, yes, he brought them to AFC championships back-to-back. Wasn't with his players. It was with Eric Mangini's players. After those two teams were cleared out, Rex has struggled. That's why he moved on to Buffalo. Went to Buffalo with a great defense. Screwed that up royally. And has not done well. He really has not proven to be anything better than a coordinator. And you know what? That's okay, too, by the way. A lot of people will go and shame different coaches for not working out. It's okay to be a really skilled coordinator. There's nothing wrong with that. But you just kind of got to get in your wheelhouse and stick with it. I don't blame him for wanting to be a head coach. I think that's every NFL coach's dream. And he could very well be successful somewhere else. You never know. Belichick was a head coach of the Browns. Nobody's looking at him like, what a bum, because he did so poorly with the Browns. He's going down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach of all time because of his time with the Patriots. So it has a lot to do with luck, getting in with the right quarterback, especially in a quarterback league and whatnot. But again, that's also why Rex should have kissed some serious butt in Atlanta and gotten there with Matty Ice, where he had a good quarterback, a good wide receiver. That was the place for him to go. Instead, he basically just made a jump to the same team with different colors, because the Jets and the Bills are so much alike. It's not even funny. He stayed in the same division, and he basically went to the same team and was like, "Oh yeah, no problem. I can fix them," and it has not worked out.
Not at all. And I didn't really think about that analogy that they're pretty much the same, but you're right, they really are. And who knows what'll happen at this point. But one coach that's not going anywhere, like you said, our lovely coach of the New England Patriots. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. And they're doing really well this season again, like they always do.
Yeah, his tenure's been amazing, absolutely amazing. It will be a great matchup this week against Denver. Denver's defense is great. Their offense not so much, but their defense is no joke. But his tenure is incredible. It will absolutely go down as one of the greatest runs in NFL history. Period. No matter who he is compared to, he will be a legit contender, or they may be a legit contender for him. It is what it is. You know, I'm not a Patriots fan by any means, and I revel in the chance to rub it in fans' faces that the Giants beat them twice in the Super Bowls. But the Patriots are fantastic. They have done a great job in the modern era. Ever since Tuna was there, he kind of got them starting to believe that they could win, and Belichick took over, and he has run with it. He has very much hurt his defense being cocky and getting rid of key players, but it hasn't hurt their success. Regular season, they just kind of walk through, automatically win 13, 14, 15 games like it's nothing. And then the playoffs, you know that they're a contender every year, every single year.
They are amazing. Like I said, I'm not really a fan either. And, well, I'm not going to say how I feel about a certain quarterback, but I have to give the quarterback and the team props because they're always amazing and they always pull it off and make it to the playoffs most of the time. And they're just, I think they're one of those teams that no matter what, they're just that good, no matter who's there and who's not there. Because even when Tom Brady was suspended for those four games, they still pulled off some really good wins, some really good plays. So no matter what, they're very, very impressive. And I think they deserve recognition for that.
Absolutely. And he's fantastic, too. I mean, obviously their team is very skilled. I mean, they won, 3 out of the 4 games while he was out? But
yeah, I think so.
I mean, he's definitely in contention for the MVP, and that's insane. He missed a quarter of the season. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I would say that Carr, from the quarterback from the Raiders, is probably the front runner. And, you know, Ezekiel Elliott, despite being a rookie, has to be in contention with that. That's a little bit skewed because he is playing behind the greatest offensive line in the entire league. But that being said, he still has to be in contention. But the fact that Brady is even in conversation after missing a quarter of the season is insanity. It's just an absolute proof of his greatness.
Exactly, and I would be really surprised but happy if he wins because, like I said, he does deserve some recognition because he is one of the greatest of all time. And who else do you think should or will be in contention for the MVP?
Yeah, I mean, I really think that Carr deserves a lot of credit. This is a quarterback that was passed on by teams and went to the Raiders, of all places, where no one succeeds, and has done very, very well. I mean, it's hard to go and fault Derek Carr right now. It's really crazy. Let me see what he has. So let's see. He's thrown for almost 3,500 yards. He's got 24 touchdowns. I mean, there are people with bigger numbers. I mean, his QB rating is 96. This guy is taking a team that, before he showed up, was just perennial failures. And he's built them up. And he needs to get a lot of votes. Whether or not he wins or not, who knows? I think that a lot of these MVPs are popularity votes. So the bigger name may prevail, even with it doesn't matter if writers decide it or not. It really none of that stuff matters because those same popular names tend to be out there. But he would be the guy who I would give the nod to. I personally wouldn't give it to somebody who was suspended for part of the year. Certainly not for anything that you deem against the game or performance enhancing by any means. That being said, I can't downplay how great Brady has played. So I would honestly say those two are the biggest contenders, and then Elliott has to be thought of. I argued against the drafting of Elliott so high because it's such a pass-friendly league at this point. Used to be running backs all day. Every day would get picked that high, and you couldn't say anything against it because those are the guys with value. It's no longer that way. I wish it would go back that way, but rules would have to change for that to happen. Dallas is a special circumstance because their offensive line was already made. That being said, their Dak playing so well has made Elliott look good. And
Absolutely.
Elliott playing so well has made Dak look good. It's allowed them to play off of it and simplify the offense and not have either one do too much. And it's all about that offensive line. If you gave them the Giants' offensive line, I don't think either of them would look remotely as good. So I would say Elliott needs to be in some considerations, but I do also have a problem with rookies for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe I'm snobbish. I think that rookies should be up for like Rookie of the Year. I think MVP is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just like a little too much too fast. I think Rookie of the Year is a good thing to give them, but I think in order to get MVP, should be there a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, by definition, that might be a little ridiculous because you know what? If you're the best in the league, you're the best in the league. Who cares if you came in now or 10 years ago? But for my liking, anyway, I think that the best rookie should go and get the Rookie of the Year vote, and the MVP should be somebody who's kind of solidified a little bit. They're not one-hit wonders or anything else like that. I would absolutely say that Carr and Brady are the two top dogs for that.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'm curious to see which one of them wins this time. Because last year it was Von Miller that won, right?
Well, that was for the Super Bowl. Yes.
Super Bowl. Okay.
So, now that's another thing. Most of the time, that's very rare that a defender got that. It was only because their quarterback was so hurt at that time. Most of the time, they give it to the quarterbacks. Like as a Giants fan, we could say Eli Manning. Of course, he's fantastic. He has 2 Super Bowl rings and he's got 2 Super Bowl MVPs. Well, he probably didn't deserve at least one of those MVPs. And sure, you could say that they're lucky rings. I don't agree with that, but I'm biased. But the simple fact is, most of the time it does go to a quarterback. It is a quarterback league. They make money off of selling their quarterbacks as being great. The league is invested in going and doing so. So if they can go and give it to a quarterback, they're going to. So that's why even you'll have like a wide receiver with fantastic numbers, and you're like, that guy has to be the MVP. And the quarterback gets it. Yeah, because the quarterback was the one throwing him the ball, and they can use that excuse to go and say, oh, look at the great game he had. So a lot of that is business. I would be surprised if it's not a quarterback this year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. And it's funny you mentioned that because before I started this site and before I actually knew anything about football, I just thought the quarterback was the only player and everybody else was just there to help out. I didn't know there were any other players.
That is absolutely positively how the NFL sells it, to be honest with you, at this point. It was never like that. You knew you had a couple of these defenders that were just superstars. Running backs were huge in the NFL. Oh, my Lord. When fantasy football, we like to talk about fantasy football on the show. When fantasy football first popped up, you automatically took running backs. You're
Right.
crazy if you didn't jump on a running back. Now it really depends on how you set your league up, what points you have, which way. The league has changed rules so that defenders can't touch wide receivers. The flags are flying so often. As soon as my wide receivers are very guilty of that. The Giants are whiners right now. I mean, if Odell drops a ball, automatically his hands go in the air, and he's like, "What are you talking about? Of course I got hit." So it can be highly ridiculous. Sometimes it's true, but a lot of the time you're just being a whiner. You didn't make a play.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so annoying when they do that. I think Landon acts more mature than these quarterbacks sometimes
You know
because
what? And it's like that across all sports. Sports have gotten very soft. It has to do with a lot of, without sounding like an old man with a pipe, Yeah, it's true. It's gotten very soft. The players are very entitled. The NBA, everybody's flopping. Everybody's flopping. You're seeing soccer players flopping, basketball players flopping, football players flopping. Nobody's even touching them. They're acting like they got hit by a car. They're all throwing their hands in the air trying to get a call. It's really sad. It's at college level. It's at high school level. It's become a major part of sports. I mean, no wonder they transition so well to acting. They're already doing it on their field or court wherever they're playing. It's really crazy.
it is. It goes back to the whole everybody gets a trophy thing. I think they're so entitled, and obviously, not everybody gets a trophy in football in the NFL, but it's the same mentality. I deserve this. I deserve this, and if I don't get it, I'm going to throw a tantrum. And I think it sets a very bad example because that's what people watching them are going to think too, and it just gets on my nerves.
I agree with you. Todd Gurley, running back for the Rams this week, was asked about the change in his coaching staff, and he said, "You know what? I'm really mad at the way that we're playing. I'm just going to show up and do my job. That's what we have to do. We have to show up and play. I'm going to show up and play." And I said, "You know what? Good for you. Thank God for that mentality. I'm sorry the Giants didn't take you over our sad left tackle who should be playing right tackle. Eric Flowers, move over 4 spots and play right tackle where you belong." Gurley has the right mentality. You know what? This is their job. They need to show up. Greg Popovich from the NBA said that this week. It's your job. Have some maturity. Let's go. Do this. We don't need to tell you to. It's your job. At everybody else's job, you know what your job is, you learn what your job is, and you do it. And when you start slacking, you get fired.
Exactly.
These professional athletes tend to be very pampered. And for good reason. They are celebrity as well. But, in your job, you need to do your job or they're going to find somebody else that will.
Exactly. And I think what would actually be amazing if they would do on the off season, if they kind of did, how they have wife swap where the wives switch jobs, have a job swap where a football player goes to a job like yours or mine and has to do it for a week so they know what it's like if you slack off or how you to be treated in the real world, so to speak.
Yeah. The biggest problem for these guys is that they're so wealthy and they're so young that it just doesn't matter. They drop money. I don't know if you saw Saturday Night Live made fun of Rob Gronkowski this week. They had John Cena from WWE, and he did a fantastic job playing as him. And he made this comment about they said you have to make investments, and he was like, "Yeah, I made investments in solo cups this week. I bought 200 of them to party." But that's the reason why it's funny is because there's some truth in it, right? There's always some truth in jest. So, these guys have so much money that they just blow it. So, sure, they could do like a swap like that, and that would actually be really good for some of their mentalities, but it really depends on how they were raised and whatnot. Because some of them are like, whatever. You want to yell at me, McDonald's manager? Fine. I can quit because I can walk away. I'm a millionaire. These guys become so rich, so young, and for good reason because they only have their career for a couple of years. And they are extremely skilled, despite what my wife may think. But it's tough to go and smack any of them into reality because their reality is so much different than ours.
Yeah.
They're so beyond our realm of wealth. It's not even funny.
Yeah, and I think it's really irresponsible for them to get that much money that fast because a lot of times they're not responsible enough to handle it. And I hate to say it, people do take advantage of them when it comes to money, like, bad management, bad investments. They do get taken advantage of. In some cases, they might not know that they're being taken advantage of, and they could lose it all so fast. As fast as they get it, they could lose it. They should maybe take some financial classes or something where they're not blowing all their money or being taken advantage of.
Well, I will say the NFL's been very good about that. During the rookie symposium, they go and they set all that up. That they have the opportunity to go and talk to these financial whizzes and get a little educated on that. And honestly, there's no reason why today, of all the eras, it's not difficult to go and find a financial guy to deal with.
Exactly.
There's really not. There's no reason why you can't say, listen, I need an allowance because I can't control myself. I never had this money. That's why people go bankrupt. You know how many of these athletes are bankrupt?
So many. That's what I'm saying. It's
Stevie
scary.
Francis was a all-star NBA player not crazy long ago. Superstar for the Houston Rockets, played for the New York Knicks. He just got arrested again today. He got, I believe it was burglary. He was arrested for in Florida. I mean, it's crazy the fall of some of these guys who made millions and millions and millions, some of them hundreds of millions of dollars. You know, the NBA, the NFL rather, has capped that with the draft, where they don't make nearly the amount of money that they used to. Because, you know, if you were a top 2-3 pick, you were making hundreds of millions of dollars before you ever played a single snap, which is insane. It's completely insane. So now they've slotted. They still make crazy money. We're not going to play the amount of money they make, but it has been altered and lowered quite a bit. But that being said, I mean, there's really no reason. I mean, I have a lot of direct payments come out of my bank account to go and pay my bills on time because I'm really bad about that. Guess what? You have many more bills when you're one of these guys with a mansion here and you got a tailor over here making a certain number of suits a month because that's what you signed up for and blah, blah, blah. Well, there should be somebody around that you hired that you're saying, I'm paying you this much money to make sure that I don't spend all this money away. You know, because all your cousins come out of the woodwork, all your friends come out of the woodwork. They all expect something from you. You need somebody to keep you in check. And it's sad that these guys don't take advantage of that.
Yeah, I definitely would if I were in that situation. It's really scary.
My wife just came around the corner with a mask on, or a green mask. She said that she's the Hulk. I think she's kind of, it's interesting. She's relaxing her face, she says.
Well, we can just see anything can happen on my show.
This is very scary right now.
Hi, Sam.
Hi. Well, now we know anything can happen on live TV. This is awesome.
Oh, Sam, you know me all too well.
I do. I love you.
I love you too.
And we are about out of time, but I want to hit on one more topic before we go. Penn State not making it to the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that?
They absolutely did not deserve to because they have a silly 4-team system set up. They need to expand it. Now, it shouldn't be like basketball where there's like 64 teams or something crazy.
Yeah, something like that.
But the fact that they are still at this point, listen, they have 1 million bowl games, okay? There's no reason why you can't expand it to 8 teams or something like that so that you're not crossing out. They can literally have more undefeated teams than they have slots for their playoff system, which is crazy. I mean, if I go undefeated, I am automatically in this playoff race, right? I am in national contention, right? Well, they're like, no, because we don't like your schedule or whatnot. Now that is a big factor. That is a very big factor. There's some groups like the SEC has the best teams. Okay, so their one-loss teams might be better than another group's undefeated team, but until they go and expand it a little bit. Just expand it a little bit so you get that one loss team that's in a great division, or you have to let in these undefeated teams that are in a different group, either Big 10, Big 12, whatever they happen to be in. People are always going to complain and wonder. So you know what? So let them go ahead and face the bigger competition and get blown out, and then the other groups can say, see, I told you so. They don't belong there. But I think leaving it at 4 teams is very silly when there could be more than 4 teams that can make a major argument for being in the national contention.
I couldn't have said it better myself, and I absolutely agree, because that's all I've been hearing about for the past couple of weeks when this all happened. And unfortunately, my schedule didn't work out for me to talk about it when it initially happened. But I think you said it best, and better luck next time is all I can say. Best unbiased answer I can give at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm not going to feel bad for anybody, especially not that school, as we've documented many, many, many times. I will say I called them out in the beginning of the season and said, you know what? You want to be known for something else? Do it on the field. They've done it on the field. Good for them. They're absolutely heading in the right direction. Put that together for your program for several years to go, and this won't be an argument. It won't be. Okay, now you guys are kind of like the new team in the race, because you're only known for your history, and the history is tainted. So now you just laid down some fresh, good, positive history. Keep it going.
Absolutely.
Penn State, I've had plenty of bad things to say about you. Good for you. You did exactly what you needed to do, and keep doing it. That's bottom line. That's what makes franchises and what makes schools and what makes teams of all different levels great is sustained success. Don't do it for a year or two. Do it for a couple of years in a row. Keep going. You know, you want to be known as a great linebacking school again. You want to be known as a great football school again. Keep it moving. Keep going.
Make Penn State great again. That's all I can say.
Hey, absolutely. Listen, I would love to see that.
I would too.
They're one of the great college football schools. So prove that.
Yeah, I want to see him. I want to see him do well. I want to. I mean, not because I live here, but I want to see well. We never want to see anyone fail. I want to see him be great again, and I hope it happens.
Look, the Nittany Lions being successful is a good thing for college football. So do it. That's all. That's really all I can say. I can't add anything more to it besides continue to do it. And then, you know what? Even if it does not get expanded from those 4 teams getting in, you're going to force your way in. You will. You just have to show up. Now, college football, they pretty much want you undefeated. I think it's very unfair. You're going to lose 1 game. And when you lose the game, too, makes such a big difference. You could lose one early in the year, and they're like, oh, your season's over. And then you run the rest of your schedule, and they're like, oh, no, they're totally contenders. And then you could be contending the entire time and dominating, and you lose one at the end of the season. They're like, well, we can't vote them in because, they lost one right here at the end when they should be playing their best. That is the problem. That is why 4 is not enough. But while that is the parameters, just keep winning. It will take care of itself. That's all that ever matters in sports. Keep winning. I've said it in several weeks with my Giants. You know what? They're a flawed team. Score 1 more point than your opponent.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter. You win. It doesn't matter how pretty or ugly it is. Keep winning. Winning takes care of everything in sports.
Exactly. And we are completely out of time. Actually went overtime, but that's what happens on live TV. Thank you so much for coming on. Tell my Landon I say hello, and I can't wait to have him on my show next week.
We look forward to it, Sam.
Yes, and I will see you. Thank you all for tuning in, and enjoy your week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.